after, you know, looking at one or two banquet halls, they all start looking the same, and it's just, you know, I propose, tell me when to show up.
Yeah.
Remind me to get fitted for my tux, you know, they're like running out there 2 weeks before weddings, remembering to get fitted and stuff. They like tastings.
Yeah.
That's where they usually are happiest, is, you know, tasting cake and tasting food.
Let me get the Is it ready?
Making sure they like the DJ.
Going already.
It's already going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I video like a mad woman.
Yeah.
Well, it comes in so handy, especially when my brides are out of town, if they get a picture of all the colors and things like that, and then when they're planning, like on the table right now is kind of a little mock table set up that a bride took pictures of, because her bridesmaids are wearing the silver or gray, and she's using black as an accent, so we had a little black napkin, and she was seeing how it looked with mirror tiles, and the next day she was going to go to the florist and look at different centerpieces. So we were trying different colors.
That's cool.
So she would have, you know, a record of how that looks, so she'll have some idea when she's at the florist. Or when you're at the dress shop and everything, you know, of what colors we have and how your colors will look with that. We don't have any kids with us today, so we feel stuff away.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Did you get what you needed? Oh, you're still going to
That's okay. We're going to keep it on the whole thing.
That way, if we have any questions, we'll be able to review the
Right.
video and then...
And as you can see, you can use 2 colors, 3 colors, I don't know, it's just... A lot of times we use them in the center as a centerpiece, accent for the centerpiece. Do you have any idea of what colors you like?
We're going with just fall colors, really. Browns and
We have the brown.
oranges and reds.
We have the rust, we have the red.
Yep.
So make sure, and we have burgundy there, make sure you get those. So there's our burgundy. Chocolate brown. And then somewhere in here, there's, I think that's olive. And this one they call sand. And then we have the gold. So I know I have another bride who's using the gold, the rust, and the chocolate in different places. Like one's going to be at the place settings, and then I think she's using 2 of the other colors in the center with her centerpieces. So, have you seen everything here that we need to see, so we'll go downstairs and stay downstairs then? Because the ballroom is on the other end of the building. This was a Victorian manor built by Dr. Bell for his wife and family, and then they added a ballroom back in the 1990s. But this dates back to the 1880s. And they had their first wedding reception here for their oldest daughter. She got married at St. Andrews.
It's beautiful here.
So I'll take us down to the ballroom.
Do you want to turn this off, or do you want me to just keep going?
You just keep going. It's got 80 minutes on it.
Okay.
Do you want me to carry this out?
Oh, I'll get that.
Sir, I can help you.
That's no problem.
Okay.
Your one album is from like the very end of October, and the other one, they got married the last Saturday in November, and one's January.
How many guests do you guys have? About 35, 40. Not big at all.
Daytime, nighttime.
We haven't decided because we're still trying to find
Ah.
a place. We haven't even picked a date yet because we can't book a place until we find a place to go.
My November, the album here where they got married the last Saturday in November, they did daytime, and they actually got married outside because it was warm enough, and they have a lot of outside pictures. So they used that gazebo, and then they had this whole area. This is the lounge, watching step, the library, and then the garden room here. You'll see in the album they have their cake in that corner table there. Those are pretty. And we'll go sit down in the ballroom. Greenery left, and then this one was from January, and they used the ballroom, but they had about 50 guests, I think.
Okay.
And then we have a cake, ladies' cake. Let me put some lights on. And we base everything off your food and beverage plus tax and service charge. We do have a minimum of a $200 ceremony fee for the privilege of being married at the beautiful Briarhurst Manor estate. So I think he had told me November 12th. Was that just a rough?
We're trying 11, 12, 13. We're trying, but it seems like everybody wants to get married on 11, 12, 13. So
Is that a Thursday or something?
it's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
We're just having issues trying to find a place that's open then and that we like and that isn't charging us crazy amounts for nothing, basically. So
Well, daytime could work really well, and it would be earlier in the month. Sometimes the trees still have leaves on them in early November, most of the time not. But those last few years we've had such warm falls that they've stayed on. In the past, for the first 6 years I lived here, by Halloween we would usually get like the first frost or snow right around Halloween, and boom, the next day all the leaves would be off the trees.
yeah, I've lived here my whole life, so I'm pretty used to our falls. So I'm trying to kind of plan accordingly for indoor.
But this gives you a good idea that they were still able to
Yeah.
get outdoor photos.
Yeah.
Because we do have a lot of evergreens on the property. We have, besides all the pine trees and everything, we have the ivy, which will stay pretty green even in winter, and then we have holly and things like that. So you can still get outdoor pictures that have greenery in them.
Yeah.
Those trees stay green and everything. So they were able to get
Yeah.
a number of photos outside with greenery, and that's the end of November.
Yeah.
So we have to have one of those. Those are so cute.
Yeah, he won't be wearing a tux, he'll be in his dress
Is you-
blues.
Oh, it's military too.
Uh-huh. He's in
That's
Navy.
right. That's why you were saying he's.
Yep.
Okay.
You want me to film any of those pictures?
Just like it's still pretty with like all the leaves everywhere and then like the naked trees. I kind of like the way that looks.
And daytime always is less than nighttime anyway.
Yeah.
And we usually, since it's Colorado, even if it was a summer wedding, have an A plan and a B plan. So if if it's off season, I'll ask brides, if you want to have the ceremony outside, what's like your temperature, guideline,
Yeah,
cut off,
yeah.
If it's 55 degrees, will that be warm enough? Or And they usually plan for short ceremonies if they're even thinking outside. So we've had ceremonies outside where the guests are sitting there in their coats, and the bride and groom have a nice short ceremony, but they get the mountains in the pictures and everything. And
They're
then
freezing the whole time.
well, if 55 isn't that bad if you have a coat on, you know. Look how many people sit outside for football games in the middle of November and December, right? And then the other thing is, this room works fine for smaller weddings too. If we do an inside ceremony, we can set up rows of chairs. People have gotten married in front of, we have a fireplace around the corner. People have gotten married in front of the windows. The mirror ball can be taken down for a ceremony and then rehung later.
Okay.
And if you had an intimate wedding of 40 guests or so, instead of having 8 per table, we would maybe do just 6 per table and have a few more tables to fill up the space. And with a wedding, of course, with the decorations and with a cake table and a gift table and a place card table and an hors d'oeuvre table, it helps fill up the room.
Definitely.
We base everything off of food and beverage minimum, so I just need to look at you know, which area, because this one room, since it's larger, goes for a higher food and beverage minimum than, say, the West Wing Terrace. But the West Wing Terrace doesn't really give you, other than an outdoor option, a place to have a ceremony, to have 40 people in the same room. Because we can't quite fit 40 people in the library by itself. I mean, we might be able to, they're all standing up, and then we have tables in the room. But we do have that upper patio too.
Okay.
So, depending on weather. And that's why I say the lower amount of food and beverage would be for the West Wing Terrace in the daytime. Daytime in here would be a lower food and beverage minimum, and then at nighttime it would go up.
Okay.
So let me grab you some menus too, so
Okay.
you can see all your choices. Usually we don't do a buffet unless you have 50 guests, but if you wanted to do a buffet for under 50 guests, then there's just a slight upcharge.
Okay. Is he getting reprimanded?
I think so.
Sick. Yeah, sick. Sick and really heavy. He does not look like he likes to take pictures.
Probably not. Take this up a little bit, makes the glare out.
She has a pretty dress. Mine's prettier.
I'm not showing him the people. We're not showing you the people, David. We're showing you the surrounding area.
Unless you want to look at the people. These are my people. That's where I come from. That's their officiant. That looks so tacky. Looks like a night wedding.
Show them those windows where these pictures are being taken.
Show them this too, just for our reference. This right here.
You have to set it up.
This? To get this info?
You have to set it up because there's a glare.
That's who did that photography. The one in this book. Nobody knows who did this.
It's really bad to see.
Okay. There's that one too.
Okay.
And then cakes. See if any of these pertain to us. That's pretty. Nobody quite has the topsy-turvy cake like us, though.
No.
We're pretty
true.
unique. I have the hiccups. Looks like a poop cake. Don't like that. It's like dirty toilet paper rolls. That one's pretty. Come on, people, get creative. Dang, look at that one. That's crazy. Did she disappear? I hear footsteps. Looks like stained glass.
Mm-hmm.
Those are Carol's cakes. She's the lady we work with. You can also see her website at www.creativecakescolorado.com. Did you see the one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, that was the very end of the 27th. That's pretty far in the end. So what we do is figure out how many roughly adults and children you might have, because children are priced differently than adults and they don't get to have champagne or anything like that. Is 35 a good number or for
Just
estimate?
about, yeah.
And how many children in between 4 and 11 would there be? Or 3 and 11?
Oh, God.
A lot?
No.
Hardly, like 2 or 3?
Yeah.
Okay. So I could probably pretty much go with 35 adults and maybe 2-3 kids.
I would say between 5 and 10.
Who are you thinking of?
Your nieces and nephews?
Oh, crap. I got those, don't I? Yeah.
Between 5 and 10.
So 30 adults and 10 kids is a good estimate then for a total
We'll
of
say
4?
7. 7 kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 30 adults and 7 kids?
Mhm.
We'll use 37 as our grand total.
I think so.
Okay. For daytime, it's usually something like 10:30 to 3:30 or 7 to 4, around that.
Okay.
And you could get here up to 2 hours earlier to start doing photos around the property, get photos on the staircase and looking out the window, and in all, any rooms that aren't being used by anybody else you can use. So even if you say reserve the ballroom, you could still like stand in the garden room and get a picture by the arched window. Or if you reserve the West Wing Terrace, you're still allowed to get a picture here if no one's using it.
Okay.
And our staff, of course, sets everything up. We set the tables, the glassware, the silverware, and even like some centerpiece things can be set up for you if you want to use anything of ours. I actually have smaller mirrors for the smaller tables in those rooms, so they're more, in proportion to the tables.
Okay.
We can have a number of guests in the library seated, and we can do larger tables in that garden room to have some more of the guests seated, like if you use that as like a kid's room.
Okay.
I didn't say that. But, that any alcoholic beverages you purchase will count towards your food and beverage minimum. The food and beverage minimum is the number that you must hit in food and beverage, but of course you're allowed to spend more than your minimum. And I usually, do my best to make sure, even if your guest numbers drop or something, that we're putting more food in to, make it balanced, because we don't have to have the final numbers till 7 days before.
Okay.
So we try to have the menu and what everything's going to look like and the setup planned, well in advance of that. But when when my brides and grooms are starting to get more, accurate numbers, we might be making smaller changes and adjustments, so that if the guest count goes up considerably more than they thought were going to RSVP, since they don't have to spend more than the minimum, they might be cutting certain things out to keep it at the minimum. Or if on the reverse, if the guest count ends up being a little lower, I'm helping them figure out what can they add to make sure they meet their minimum. Like, we're having a bride get married next May 1st, even though it's a Wednesday, but it's May 1st. And she was all of like $70 below her minimum. And she said, what do I need to do to make my minimum? And we said, well, you just look at some hors d'oeuvres and see if you want to add that, or you can add, more drinks.
Okay.
So she looked at the hors d'oeuvres and she said, oh, okay, chocolate-covered strawberries. Can we just have 2 dozen chocolate-covered strawberries, but not for the guest, just for me and the bridesmaids before the ceremony?
Oh, yeah, that's a good
to eat
idea.
while we're getting ready. And I'm like, okay, but just remember, you'll have to redo your makeup. Chocolate-covered strawberries are delicious, but they get a little messy when
Yes,
you're
they
all
do.
dressed up and you have your makeup and hair all done, and then you're having
Let me end this and then